Tally ho! Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here, welcome back to Extra Gents. Hope that you're doing well. Today we're talking about cheap fragrances. You know, one of the favorite subjects of everybody out there, cheapies. You gotta love it. You don't pay very much, you get something that smells awesome. That's a win-win. But what happens when cheapies stop being cheap? That's right, cheap fragrances are not always cheap. That sounds like way deeper than what I'm actually meaning. The cheapies are not always cheap when you think about it. The personal cost. No, that's not what I'm talking about at all. Cheap fragrances are not always cheap because oftentimes things happen, things change, and I'm gonna share a bunch of examples with you here today. Because if there's one thing that I have seen over and over and over again over the years is people who assume that a fragrance is gonna be cheap forever. They assume that whatever fragrance, you know, they're looking at, that they're thinking about getting, that's 15 bucks, 20 bucks, 25, 30, whatever. They think that it's gonna be there 6 months from now, 6 years from now, and that they're always gonna be able to scoop that up on the low. But today, I'm gonna be showing you that that is not the case. And sometimes, yeah, sometimes those cheapies become not cheap like that. So it's one of those deals where if you've been around for a minute, you've seen a bunch of fragrances come and go, a bunch of things happen, you'll be able to pick up on this, you know, when fragrances are maybe on that precipice of destruction where they're about to just go over the edge and the price is gonna go phew. But if you're somebody who maybe doesn't pay a lot of attention to that, or you know, you just don't really care a huge amount, you may not even be aware that stuff like this does happen. So it's something that you should be aware of, that you should be cognizant of, because again, if you're wanting to pick something up on the cheap, you do want to make sure that it's not a fragrance that is running the possibility of suddenly not becoming cheap. Now, before I start going into great detail here and start busting out some of these fragrances as examples and things, I wanna make you aware once again of that new code GS25, which is good at fragflex.com. Buy one fragrance, get one 25% off, and that does scale up. So if you bought 6, you would get 3 25% off, etc., etc. That's just the newer code that I have amongst the sea of codes. Let's start tackling some scents. All right, now the fragrances I'm gonna share with you today used to be dirt cheap. Most of these were just stupidly inexpensive to the point that stores were about giving them away, okay? These you used to be able to find, most of them I'm gonna talk about, for like 20 bucks, some less than that. I didn't wanna go with a bunch of fragrances that were like, you know, $80 and now they're 200 or something like that. No, these ones used to be true cheapies, okay? They are no longer. They are no longer at all. And I just present this to you because a year from now, 2 years from now, 6 months from now, who knows, there's going to be fragrances that, as of now, when I'm putting this video out, you can pick up for like 15 bucks, 20 bucks. 25 bucks that in the future are gonna be 200, 250, 300. So you just wanna make sure that for some of these cheapies, if you really want them, you scoop them up is all I'm saying. Midnight in Paris from Van Cleef & Arpels on repeat. It was like $18. I should have bought the Eau de Parfum. I didn't. I bought backups of the Eau de Toilette, not the Eau de Parfum. Look at it now. But we're not talking about that one. Let's talk about some different ones. All right, now this first one is CK1 Summer 2012. Now, of course, this came out a while ago. It's 2012, right? So this right here is over a decade old. And also, CK1 has a different release each year, so it's a limited edition. It only runs for 1 year. That being said, this was, as CK1 always is, stupid cheap when it came out. And I think this actually smells so much better than like most of the CK1 Summers that have come out over the past 6, 7 years. Nice sweetness, green, fresh, clean. But I digress. When this came out, as CK1 always is, CK1 Summer editions, it cost nothing, okay? This stuff you could find at TJ Maxx, find this at Ross's. You could find this pretty much anywhere for like 19 bucks. This one nowadays goes for $190, $200 for a bottle. And there are a bunch of CK1 flankers that used to be stupid cheap that now go for that or more. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, CK1 2023 is going to be worth $180 a year or two from now. That's not gonna happen. But if there is a very well done CK1 Summer, again, it's gonna be limited to just that year, and years from then, it's gonna be worth a lot more. But this is just a, you know, a limited edition type deal, so we're not gonna really do a bunch of those because that's a little more obvious, you know, like the Carolina Herrera fragrances that they come out with each year. Some of those from earlier, you know, 6, 7 years ago, they're worth a bunch now, but again, those are limited. So how about something like this? Oscar de la Renta, again, they were practically giving this stuff away. I paid next to nothing for this. I believe it was under 20 bucks when I got it, and that was full presentation. It's got a really unique bottle style to it. I mean, it's a little bit love it or hate it, right? A little cheesy looking, a little Paco Rabanne-ish, but honestly, the fragrance for the price that you used to be able to get this for was a steal. Nice aromatic touch of sweetness to it, kind of a champagne vibe as well. This one didn't even disappear off discounters all that long ago, and this is something I want to drive home right now. Fragrances that are not huge releases, okay? You know, they're not your Paco Rabanne, Versace, Armani, stuff like that, you know, the really big ones. Those are gonna draw more attention. When a discontinuation happens of those, it's gonna get out a lot quicker because more people are paying attention. Smaller stuff like this, it can be discontinued for a while and people don't really key in on it. And then when it goes, when it sells out, people find out by the price. So not that long ago, you could find this at discounters, still stupid cheap, and everybody would think, oh, it's all good. You can still get Gentleman for whatever, 20 bucks, 25 bucks, and it's a really good buy. And then one day, it really does feel like just one day, Thanos snap is gone. This goes nowadays for about $200 on eBay. You can maybe find like a used 50 ml bottle for less, but it's still going for over 100. But 100 ml size bottles, especially if they're still sealed, you can add over 200 bucks. So it's close to 10 times what it used to cost not that long ago. How about this one? CK1 Homme, another smaller fragrance. This I picked up years and years and years ago, I think for legitimately like $12 off of eBay. 50 ml size bottle. Reason I got it was because this is a really good alternative to Gucci Envy. Actually, this was the #1 alternative to Gucci Envy, which of course Gucci Envy also discontinued, also stupid expensive. So this got you really close to that, similar enough, at a ridiculously cheap price point. This one nowadays, for a 50 ml size like that, you're looking at probably $100, and some people are asking more. And the whole reason this fragrance was worth picking up was because it was unbelievably cheap, and now it's, you know, $100. It's no longer a really great, inexpensive alternative to a more expensive discontinued scent. Now it's just another expensive discontinued scent. Now this next one is a doozy, because I guarantee you there's gonna be some of you out there who didn't even realize that the price skyrocketed on this one, because it was really one of the cheapest designer ouds that you could get. Not worst, just cheapest, most affordable from discounters. And now it is goofy expensive, okay? It's just full on Vince Camuto oud. This one didn't come out that long ago, 2016. Well, I guess a decent amount of time ago, but it doesn't feel like that long. 2016, not a decade ago. This used to be really, really affordable. Like I said, from discounters, you could find this often in that like $30 price range. It's a nice designer oud, it's serviceable, easy to wear, sweet with that saffron in there. You know, it's a nice beginner oud fragrance. Now, this one, as I said, used to go for about 30 bucks. You'd even find it a little bit less sometimes. How much do you think it's going for now? And again, this did not disappear from discounters all that long ago. Going for $250. So you've got an entry-level designer oud fragrance here. Again, really easy to wear, easy to grasp, get your mind around. I'm not bagging on the fragrance, but you know, let's call it what it is. When you could pick it up for like 30 bucks, yeah, absolutely, nice buy. It's going for $250 now, okay? Like this is going for niche prices. And then there's also smoked oud, which is also going for a good amount of money, and that one also used to be pretty cheap from Vince Camuto. So I'm just really trying to drive home here that it's not a particular type of cheapie that you always need to look for. It could be this. It could be any different type of cheap fragrance. Vince Camuto is a decent sized brand. It's still basically just kind of completely under the radar, under the table, gone, and then the price skyrocketed. Now, also, I do want to say I'm not giving like investment advice or anything, okay? I'm not saying go out there and buy up all the cheap fragrances and they're all gonna just suddenly skyrocket. That's not gonna happen. But what you do need to do is be aware, if you're interested in the fragrances, of if there's chatter behind them being discontinued. Oftentimes you'll start hearing about it before you really see it materialize. So you'll see online people talking about it. You might, you know, pick up different articles or forum posts and things of people talking about it. And there are things to watch for with discontinuation that I've talked about in other videos. You know, like if the fragrance has been removed from the brand's website, that's not good. If it's been removed from retailers like Macy's, Sephora, Ulta, and it used to be there, that's not good. It's kind of like, you know, red flags or smoke. Where there's smoke, there's fire. So just kind of driving that home that if you're really interested in a cheaper fragrance and you haven't picked it up and you start to see some of these things materialize, that's probably a good sign that you may want to go ahead and pull the trigger on it before whenever that happens. Since we're talking oud, how about this? Varvatos oud also was really cheap. It was usually a little bit more than the Camuto, and I do think overall between these two that the Varvatos is a higher quality fragrance. Although when this was first announced, I remember I thought this was gonna be metal on the outside, and I was like, oh, that looks pretty sick. It's plastic. Still looks cool, but this one you're gonna find a range between like 120 to 200. So interestingly enough, it's going for less than that one. I don't know, man, but it is. Still way more expensive than it used to be, but yeah. And I will say about Varvatos, Varvatos has a number of scents that used to be crazy stupid cheap that got discontinued, and then when the stock ran dry, the price shot up. So Varvatos has a little history of that, not just with the oud here, but with a number of other scents. And you know, truth be told, I could keep doing this all night. I could keep busting these out. I got a few more, I'll just show you really quickly. This one, I love this stuff. This is Bergamotto Marino from Fair, and it smells awesome. Now, it's not anything hyper complex. It's not anything crazy. It's just, it's clean. It's very watery in a natural way. And I know that doesn't sound like watery, but I mean, it's got like this refreshing, you know, cleansing kind of scent profile to it. Like white florals, slight soapiness, citrus. The quality is nice. It's an eau de cologne. It doesn't last a huge amount of time, but you could get these big bottles of the stuff. This one was, again, absurdly cheap. Absurdly. It was way before I started my channel, but yeah, you could get these 200 mils for pennies on the dollar. Now, it's really hard to find, really difficult to find. So I really don't even wear it much because there's like all of 2 on eBay right now, and they range between like 120 for a used one up to 180 for a newer one, and that's for a size half of what this is. Fendi, you remember Fendi? Yeah, Fendi, this is Fendi Assoluto, and this was, I think like 25 bucks. It goes now for closer to 200. And Fendi just killed their entire everything as far as like their men's fragrances goes. So that's another thing to watch out for. I mean, that should be more obvious, right? Hey, we're killing off literally everything. You might want to pick it up, but still bears repeating. This one is actually really good for the price point. Well, the old price point. Just an awesome spiciness with this like, you know, little bit of resinous ambery sort of sweetness to it. The spice in here just kind of like sticks to the edges. It smells awesome. It's really good for fall and winter time. And this was around for a while after the discontinuation. Actually, all of these were the Fendi fragrances, and it took a minute for the price on these to go up, but it has steadily risen. So with this one, you had an opportunity after discontinuation and after everybody knew about it to pick it up. But if you didn't, you still had time after that, but now that time has run out and the price is showing. Then we got Halloween Man Tattoo, Perry Ellis Oud Black Vanilla Absolute. This one was a hype monster, and this one did something that you need to watch out for, which is it started to become more and more difficult to locate. So this you could pick up for about 36 bucks. Amazing for that price point. Really similar to Guerlain Spiritueuse du Vanille. So it's like right in that style, and just an amazing vanilla fragrance. I know it's oud black vanilla, but it's really about the vanilla with that one. And yeah, there was, like I said earlier, talk about discontinuation. Is it not? Is it not? And it would get in stock, sell out, talking about it at discounters, and then a month would go by, and then it would come back in stock, sell out, 2 months, 3 months go by, gets back in stock, sells out, 6 months goes by, gets back in stock, sells out, it's gone. If you notice that happening with the fragrance, especially one that has talk around it about discontinuation, that should set your antennas up. You know, you should be looking to scoop it up at that point, because honestly, none of us know when that time is gonna come that it sells out and then it's gone. And then this one, Halloween Man Tattoo, I mean, it's not amazing, right? It's a Halloween man, but it's again, a serviceable kind of fragrance, easy wearing, kind of a little like youthful club scent, but it smells pretty nice for the price that it used to have. This is going back to kind of what I talked about earlier with like the Oscar de la Renta, where Halloween Man is not a huge line and Tattoo was not a huge release. And so as it faded out and it came in stock less and less often, nobody really paid attention until it was gone. And then the price went up by like 3 times what it used to cost, 3 or 4 times. And so all of these can kind of show you cheapies are not always gonna be cheap. Now, there are some that stick out, stuff like Nautica Voyage, that's probably gonna be around forever, knock on wood. But if you have a scent that you really are looking to get, and it's really inexpensive, and you start to hear rumblings, don't put it off. I've done that before, it screwed me, and I didn't do it with some of these, and I'm very glad. So what you could take from these, at least the ones I've shown you here, is if it's a limited fragrance, which this Oud one kind of is as well, you know, you may want to key in on those earlier rather than later. Or if it's from a smaller house, as far as fragrances go anyway, you may want to pay more attention to it, and if you hear anything, scoop it up, because those are not going to make too much noise when they disappear. You're only going to realize when the price goes up. All right, that's it. I am done. I just wanted to talk to you guys about cheapies, because I was actually looking through my fragrance collection tonight. I was picking some stuff out, and I was like, oh yeah, this one actually. It's like, I wonder what this is going for nowadays, and it blew my mind. I knew it was discontinued, but didn't realize it had gone up that much. All right, guys, that'll do it for me. Stay safe out there. See you later, guys.